Are we on holiday? Are we on extended holiday? Are we not? What's the situation? Are we going to come back and complete the 2 terms that were not completed when schools were ordered closed? Or are we moving straight into second term? Is the KICD going to roll out these programs from next week, from the 4th, that they were doing before we went into proper holiday? Or is it not? Are schools expected to be offering online learning for the next 30 days? Or are they not? All these questions need answers. And I think the answers ought to come from the ministry itself, the Ministry of Education. Yesterday we saw the opposition leader, let's call him opposition leader, Musalia Mudavadi. Opposition leader Musalia Mudavadi, he had a press conference, he was addressing these issues and saying, look, there is a lot of information that's not coming from where it should be coming from. This is the Ministry of Education. It needs to give proper clarity and guidance on the next 30 days. This is exactly what's going to happen. After the 30 days, this is exactly what's going to happen. Is an exam going to be held this year? Is it going to be postponed next year? If it's held this year, what's going to happen? If it's postponed, for how long can it be postponed? How does it impact the transition from primary to secondary, from secondary to university? No decision does not have an impact. And therefore, the Ministry of Education cannot just keep its head buried in the sand and expect that, wait, we'll tell you what to do. We will tell you, don't worry.
Eventually.
You relax. We'll tell you what to do. But there's still the issue of school fees, because this whole confusion brings in the issue of, is there communication that parents are receiving from schools, especially private schools, with regards to school fees, with regards to learning?
Are they even having productive conversations?
Is it happening at all?
And if it is, which schools are having these productive conversations? We are now hearing that there are parents who've taken the school board that the children go to court. If it's one school, there'll be another.
There'll be others.
It tells you that there is a running dispute that has not found an avenue for resolution.
Indeed.
So, yes. Now, why is it so? These are parents in Kenya. The school is in Kenya. The school board is in Kenya. Why is this thing suddenly becoming a teeth-pulling exercise?
And I think it's because of that problem. Because the head has not said anything. So what happens is that everybody now starts to do their own or make their own little decisions here that is going to cause some kind of friction at whatever point you want to see it as. Now the head has said something, right? They've said it's an extended holiday. Now, unfortunately, everybody has been left to deduce what they will from that.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you have schools then who are charging and they're saying we're going to the second term. You have parents who are saying, well, absolutely not, forget it, we're on holiday. How do we learn during a holiday? And then how do you then demand school fees of me during this holiday? It absolutely makes no sense. Now, regardless of whatever decision anybody is going to take, like you said, it has an impact. Whether I'm going to refuse to pay school fees, it could mean that when schools do open, my child has no school to go to.
Yep.
It could mean that, okay, parents are going to refuse to pay.
Because the other students will have
moved further
on in
we
the
also
syllabus.
hear communication from the Ministry of Education that when we do open schools, what is going to happen is that students will pick up where they left off. So now, if you want to make deductions from all of this, are we clear where they left off? Because if it is where they left off officially, that was in March when schools were closed.
15th of March, to be precise.
Right? So if we want to take this to its logical conclusion, if we are going by what the minister has said, what the CS has said, rather, that schools have closed and we will communicate with you.
We will tell you if and when.
We will open.
When we are ready to talk to you, we'll tell you.
From the only things that they have said, there are deductions that can be made. And should we go with those? Or should we make other inferences? Should we go and live and say this is what schools have said and this is what we should go by? What has been the case in the past?
Let us seek answers this morning. So we'll be speaking shortly with opposition leader Musalia Mudavadi. We'll be speaking to him because from him we want to understand where he was coming from when he was making that statement as the leader of the Amani National Congress. But also let's speak to the Private Schools Association. The Kenya Private Schools Association Chief Executive Officer Peter Ndoro is joining us on the line, and also the National Parents Association Chairman Nicholas Mayo is with us on the line. Let's start with Peter. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, Peter.
How are you today?
We're well.
You're well, and very grateful that you've availed your time. Thank you.
Karibu sana.
And Nicholas Mayo, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Nicholas.
Good morning, madam.
Thank you very much for speaking to us. Gentlemen, welcome to the Situation Room. In the room, my name is Eric Latif. We have CT Muga and Ndoro. And let's start with you, Peter. First, tell us about the Private Schools Association. Who are your members and what do you stand for?
Now, thank you very much, Eric. First of all, the Kenya Private Schools Association is an association of private schools that are registered by the Ministry of Education and running a local curriculum that is approved by the government through KICD. That is Kenya Private Schools Association. Our membership range from private kindergartens, primary schools, as well as private secondary schools. All of this must be registered by the Ministry of Education. At the moment, we have over 11,800 private schools, both the kindergarten, primary, and secondary schools, with a student population of about 2.3 million children, and a teaching force of about 155,000 teachers and 123,000 non-teaching staff. Private Schools Association, the Kenya Private Schools Association, commonly referred to as KIPSA, mandate is to lobby on behalf of the private schools to ensure that they are not disadvantaged and they contribute to the growth of education in our country. We cater for the needs of the low cost, the medium cost, and the high cost, as long as all those institutions are properly registered by the Ministry of Education and running an approved curriculum as per the calendar prescribed by the Cabinet Secretary of the Ministry of Education.
So these are all private schools that are offering 844 and CBC.
Yes, the 844 and the CBC curriculum. That is the local curriculum.
All right.
All right. And Nicholas, tell us about the Parents Association.
Yeah, the National Parent Association has a class from school level, county level, and national level. I'm now the national chairman of the national level. We have the first class starting from school level. We have the 9 members in each category. And we are constituted from the Act of Parliament, Basic Education Act 2013. We have a population of 15 million children, both in primary and secondary school. Those are public schools. Our members are almost 12 million parents. Slightly over 12 million parents are members of the National Parents Association. Want to be a member, you must admit a child in a public school. And by admitting a child in such a school, you are automatic member of the National Parents Association. We actually speak on behalf of the parents. We advocate for their rights, the challenges the children are going through. We also motivate teachers, and we speak on behalf of every even special needs children, special needs parents. Yes, we also have members in every committee. So we have one member who has a physical challenge, or if we don't have a parent with disability, we will also look for a parent who has a child.
Nicholas, unfortunately, there's your line is not clear. I'd like us to call you back and then we can continue this conversation. But in the meantime, Peter, you've heard the outcry out there because of what's happening. Parents are saying that they've received invoices for second term or for some continued education from their schools. And they're wondering, so why are we receiving these invoices? Is the school opening? Is it not?
Thank you very much, Eric. And I want to, just for the purposes of clarification, to indicate that to the best of our knowledge as Kenya Private Schools Association, the schools were shut on the 15th of March 2020 because of the coronavirus outbreak in the country. Meaning that we had not completed covering the first term content as required by the curriculum designs developed by the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. We had 3 weeks to complete first term. So as we speak, we are not on holiday for after the first term. We are still on a break caused by the pandemic. So we haven't started, and we even don't know when second term will begin. So for us to say that the second term is beginning on 4th of May or whatever, that is neither here nor there. Because to the best of my knowledge, when the resumption of normal studies is called by the Cabinet Secretary for the Ministry of Education, we will start from where we left. We cover the 3 weeks that had remained, cover that content, and then start the second term.
All right.
At the moment, the only obligation that we expect parents to do is that those parents who had paid their school fees for first term, that will still suffice when schools resume unless something else happens in between. Those who had not cleared their fees for first term will be required to pay the balance that they had not paid for first term. Then from there, we will begin with second term when it starts.
Okay. Is this something that is clear to all schools within the association and those who are under the umbrella of Kenya Private Schools?
This is very clear to all members of the Kenya Private Schools Association. That is very clear.
So why is
And
it
we
then? Why is it then that you have some schools who are already invoicing and demanding payment as from the 4th of May for the second term?
Now, unless, because I'm personally not aware, but just in case any private schools have an arrangement with parents for advance payment, then that is a totally different arrangement.
Okay, maybe I can make it clear so that maybe you can now say what needs to be done in this case. There are a number of schools, and maybe that also needs to be presented to you, but there are a number of schools who have made it clear that this is for the second term. The payment is demanded as from the 4th of May. And after that, they're saying the lessons that will be carried out for second term will be carried out online, up to 7 classes per day.
I want to make it clear, and I want to repeat it again, that from where I sit, and to the best of Kenya Private Schools Association, second term has not begun.
Okay.
And therefore, it will not be right for me to say that fees for second term has to be paid from the 4th of May, because second term has not begun. In fact, what is happening between now and second term, this is a program that is totally out of the normal academic calendar. We do not have first term or second term going on or starting anytime soon because that pronouncement has not been made. So any program that is going on now is a program that is totally out of the ordinary normal school term. And therefore, to ask parents to pay school fees for second term that is starting on May, that, as per the association, is not right. It is not right. But if there are arrangements where schools are asking parents to pay their school fees in advance, that is not a problem. Because even other organizations tell their parents or clients or customers to pay in advance, which is acceptable. If that is the request that the schools are making, that you can pay your school fees in advance, there are those who pay their fees well in advance, and you encourage them to do that. Because at the end of the day, schools will still resume. Children will still go back. So if parents pay in advance, there's no problem. But we are not asking for school fees for second term because we do not know when second term will begin as we speak.
Nicholas is back on the line. Nicholas Mayo, the chairman of the Kenya National Parents Association. Have you heard complaints, Nicholas, from your member parents who are saying that they are being asked to pay school fees during this period?
Not really. In fact, the complaint I had first was what will happen to the school fees that they are paid during the first term. Because they were saying that now that we wasted 3 weeks without learning, what will happen to that money that we paid in the first term. And we told them as an association that we are engaging with the ministry and we will come back to them after we've agreed. And our agreement is that for every week, it will be carried forward. Now we know about 3 weeks when the president placed in because of the corona.
Uh-huh.
And these are the 4 weeks when the minister also said the government has postponed the opening to maybe after June. So we now have 7 weeks. These 7 weeks, the money in that 7 weeks will be carried forward.
So, and this is all in the public schools?
Yeah, all public schools, all parents who have children in public schools will not incur any more expense.
Okay.
That is, like, I have my son in Nairobi school,
Yep.
and I pay 4,500. So that is for the whole year. And for the whole year for us is 14 weeks. So we pay fees as per week. Now we'll minus 7 weeks. What I'm supposed to pay this year will be only 27,000, half of the full amount. Because I've paid full amount, so my money now will be transferred to the carried forward for 2021.
All right.
And I to all the parents.
Peter, is this something that also the private schools have considered?
For us, we are not looking at issues of how much money was paid and how much has not been paid. What we are looking at is, have we covered what we're supposed to have covered for first term? And the answer is, we had not covered what we're supposed to have covered. That is 3 weeks that still remained uncovered.
Yes.
And therefore, when we resume, we'll have to cover that period because that content has to be covered. When we start second term, of course, there is a period within which we're supposed to cover second term. If the ministry, in its own wisdom, decides to reduce that period, then we will look at what needs to be done within that reduced period. But I want to believe, as a country, we would not want to do anything that will compromise on the quality of education in our country, because we want to make sure that our education system is well on track, is quality assured, and we do not lose anything, especially for our children. So we want to say that for us, issues of how much we paid or how much is supposed to be paid at this point in time is neither here nor there. What we know is that school fee structure for the whole year had been issued to parents last year, and they know what they're supposed to pay for first term, what's supposed to be paid for second term, and what's supposed to be paid for third term. So in case there's anything that may deviate from the normal school term, then we are going to address that as we move along. But at the moment, we are looking at covering what has not been covered because of the break emanating from this pandemic.
Peter, I noticed that you're answering this question from the point of the content to be delivered in the syllabus.
Yes.
And I'm sure you have a reason for this. But the question that I'm asking specifically is with regards to the money paid. I know you're saying it's neither here nor there, but it is here. Right? Because it's money that parents have already paid for a term. The term was cut short by 3 weeks. And you're looking at when you resume, is this going to be carried forward? Like Nicholas is saying, this has already been addressed clearly on public education and public schools. They've said the fees that you paid carries forward for another 3 weeks.
I think I had addressed that particular issue, and I said fees for first term was X amount. If a parent had completed paying fees for first term, when schools resume to complete the syllabus, they will not be asked for any more money for first term because they had already completed their school fees for first term.
All right.
In the event that a parent had not completed fees for first term, they will be requested to complete the fees so that we can be able to complete the term as required. So that's why I'm saying the issue of school fees, about transferring it, taking I don't know where, doing what, is neither here nor there. What is there is fees for first term, for example, was 10,000. If a parent had paid 10,000, when we resume to complete first term, they'll not be asked for extra fees unless something else comes up. But if a parent had paid 5,000 and remained with a balance of 5,000, we will request that the parent pays 5,000 so that we can complete the term. So the issue of paying for school fees at this point in time is, as I've said, not here nor there, because we know that we're supposed to have completed the number of weeks required. We still had 3 weeks to cover, and that must be covered. As private schools, we will make sure that we deliver on that, because that was part of the contract with parents, and the parents also have to meet their obligations when schools resume for that period that remained uncovered. Then for second term, we look at what the Ministry of Education prescribes. If, for example, the Ministry of Education says that second term will have more weeks than originally planned, we'll have to make adjustments. If the number of weeks will be reduced, again, we'll also have to look at considerations. What can be removed here? What can be added here? What can be done? You know? That's why I'm saying the issue of fees at this point in time is not here nor there. But what we want to focus on is content coverage and ensuring that we have quality education for our children.
I understand this, Peter, but for a lot of parents, it is here or there, because there are some schools that are making this demand of parents to pay the fees. So in this case, what would you suggest that those schools who are making these demands of parents at this time, what would you suggest that they do? Hold their children back from this online learning that is being requested, not pay the fees, take it, write a letter of application? What would you suggest that they do, or just completely ignore the demand?
No. You know, I want this to be very clear that this period we are in at this point in time, I don't know how we can classify it. It is unprecedented. We've never been here before. Even the Basic Education Act is unable to define this particular period. So there are certain schools that have decided, okay, fine, what we're going to do is to engage learners in an activity that will make sure that they continue learning, they don't forget what they have been taught, they are getting supplementary material and all that. And this program that is outside the normal curriculum, probably a cost has to be incurred, the teachers have to be involved. There is development of content, online content, which requires money. There is the use of internet and very many other facilities that may be required, devices and all that. So it may be costed by the schools, and that will depend on the individual schools and how they want to go about it, together with the parents. And my taking is that the schools will have to engage the parents and see how best they can be able to provide this facility. But this program is not part of the normal academic programs as prescribed in the normal academic calendar.
Peter, that is very clear. Now, I have to ask again. That is very clear. What you've said is clear. These same schools who have thought it best to say that we want to engage children, etc., call it whatever you want to call it, holiday tuition, whatever, give it a label.
Support.
They are labeling it second term. Now, from what you're saying, I hear that they then should not be doing that. And what I'm asking is then, what recourse should parents take to make sure that they either reject this or have an option for which they either pay or not pay if they don't want their children to be involved in this holiday tuition, which I'm just going to go ahead and call it that? What should they do? Because they've been presented with invoices, and they've been presented with these invoices labeled as second term. I'm telling you what is actually happening.
Maybe let's make it a little simpler and explain. You see, a lot of the things that we're hearing didn't begin with COVID. It's just a carryover. COVID is simply just making it more transparent, because this conversation in COVID has captured the imagination of every Kenyan. So if you are talking about how bodies that help manage our school programs in the country, and then the matter of issue comes in, the matter of money comes in, you have now touched on a much larger discussion. Because prior to this, we're talking about how government manages its budget, specifically how it's been managing its budget with regards to COVID-19. Now, unless there's absolute clarity, you will be lumped with the people who ensure that this transparency is obfuscated. So that's why we are asking, make it clearer so that a simple person can understand what it is that's going on.
Again, I don't know what to, but let me be very clear on this. And I think I'll be repeating myself the fourth time, or is it, I don't know which number of times.
For the 18th time.
Yes. But I want to say this. Private Schools Association does not know when second term will begin. The Cabinet Secretary has said that opening has been suspended by 30 days, and within which period the Ministry of Education is going to look at the unfolding events in as far as the pandemic is concerned and further advise whether we are going to open after 30 days or something else, or again we're going to have another postponement. So the issue of second term starting on 4th of May is not there.
So parents can ignore those things that have come forth. Can you go ahead and say that? Anything that can come forth. So anything that comes with May 4th attached to fees for second term, can that be ignored?
Second term is not starting on 4th
so
of
it
May.
Can be ignored.
That is what I'm saying with a lot of certainty, that 4th of May is not second term. Second term is yet, the beginning of second term is yet to be announced by the Ministry of Education.
I get you. I think you're
all right,
being very
that's clear. All right.
The issue here is let's not even have this conversation between schools, parents. The invoice being sent is erroneous.
You know, the invoices, unless we are sending the fee structures and asking parents to pay in advance, that should not be a problem.
Yeah.
But sending an invoice for second term that is to start on 4th is not correct.
Okay.
Yes,
there we go.
That's not right.
Okay.
Yes, that is not correct.
Okay.
But sending an invoice for parents to pay in advance or a fee structure telling them to start paying their fees in advance, that should not be a problem.
Okay.
But anything that probably, for example, online learning that we have, that the schools have decided to put in place, of course there is a cost, and the schools will have to agree with the parents on how to cost that. And again, I also want you to differentiate between the local curriculum and the international curriculum. The international curriculum schools have their curriculum defined by international organizations or other countries.
The bodies they're affiliated to.
Yes, and those ones, their curriculum is ongoing, and now they're doing it online. So for them, a new term may be beginning anytime. I'm not aware when their new term begins, because that is not controlled in Kenya. It is controlled by other foreign bodies.
Yeah.
So at this point in time, for the international schools, they may have a different arrangement where they may say our first term or third term or whichever term begins next week. We have no control over that, and therefore education has to go on, right? Those are for the international schools. But for the local curriculum schools, the ones we're talking about 844, in fact, I'll be shocked to see or hear a school that is 844 saying that they're opening for second term on 4th.
So let me ask you a question here. Is it the curriculum or is it the preparedness? Because the so-called international curriculum is going on because they have online learning. It means they didn't start with COVID, they've always had it. Our 844 system doesn't have the same preparedness, would you not say?
You know, for the international curriculum, they had started online learning a while back, unlike the local curriculum where we started it big time during the digital literacy program, but we slowed it down.
We actually don't have it. It's a patchwork.
We started something. We can't say that we don't have it. We started something.
If the entire student population who have in the 844 system cannot access it, we don't have it.
Yes, but we can't say we can't access it. It's only that we were not prepared for it, but we have it.
Okay.
We have something that is going on, but we haven't been able to fully actualize it and making sure that every child is able to benefit from it. We haven't been able to do that. So for the international curriculum, their curriculum, as I've said, is ongoing. And at this point in time, the children are not learning from school. They are learning from home, right? And that's why even when people are talking about school fees discounts, the international schools are the ones discussing about discounts, because now children are not going to school, are learning from home. There is no transport cost, there is no boarding cost, there is no meals, there is no nothing. Electricity consumption has gone down. So that's why they are talking about discounts, right? Because they are in normal session, only that it is happening online and at home. But for the 844 curriculum, we are not proceeding with the syllabus coverage. We are at a standstill. We are not covering any syllabus.
Peter, final question to you. Are you engaged with the Ministry of Education in discussions on what happens next or what should be happening now?
Yes, indeed. In fact, we want to appreciate the Ministry of Education has engaged the Kenya Private Schools Association on a number of issues. And in fact, we are one of the major players and stakeholders in the discussion about what needs to be done, issues of the term dates, the calendar dates. We represent private schools in all the major sectors and education caucuses.
Yep.
To give the perspective of the private school. So at the moment, we are engaged and do not have any reason to doubt that we'll continue being engaged by the Ministry of Education. We appreciate the
We'll
support.
shortly be speaking to Musalia Mudavadi, the leader of ANC. And among the questions that Musalia has raised is demanding clarity and clarification from the ministry. And now we understand that you're sitting in those meetings, so we can also start by asking this of you. Why is there no clarity on a number of factors? One, this date of closing and opening. Secondly, on the issue of exams. Should exams be held this year or should they be postponed? Why not just come out clearly and say from the very beginning?
Now, beginning with the issue of clarity on the term dates, I think it will be very unfair for us to demand that the Ministry of Education gives us a date when we're going to open, yet we don't know how the issue of the COVID-19 is going to turn out. We are being told probably we haven't reached the peak yet. We are just at the initial stages. There are very many other things that the Ministry of Education cannot really say we are starting our second term on June 4th.
Sir, you're sounding like an apologist for the Ministry of Education. We are raising these questions because the ministry is not giving us answers to questions that had previously been asked. It is indeed their job to determine these things. All they do is making blanket statements without details. That's what we're saying. Give details. If they give details, all these many questions that we're asking, we will not ask.
My good friend, let me tell you, the issue of COVID-19, we do not know how it will turn out. Unless you tell me the COVID-19 will end on 15th of May, then the Ministry of Education will have no choice but to determine when the school's calendar will begin. But because we don't know how this COVID-19 is going to behave, then, of course, the Ministry of Education cannot with certainty say that this is what is happening. In addition, the Ministry of Education has gone further to say it has suspended the opening of schools from 5th of May by 30 days. I don't know whether that is uncertain.
It's inadequate. They should say what they are planning to do for those 30 days and give us an indication of what to expect because we are uncertain of COVID.
I fail to understand your question because if it's about opening the schools, because at the moment the Ministry of Education is trying to develop the back-to-school protocol after the COVID-19. That is what is being discussed among the stakeholders, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Health, and the team that was set up by the President to address the issues of the coronavirus pandemic. That is what is being developed as we speak. The issue of national examinations, and the Cabinet Secretary said, when that time comes, the Ministry of Education will ensure that everything that is supposed to have been covered by the candidates before they sit for exams, they'll have to be given that time to cover. So if we are going to go back on 4th of June, we'll look at between 4th of June and the time KCPE is due. Will the children be able to cover what they're supposed to have covered? KCAC, the same thing. So if the answer is no, then reorganization will be necessary. If the answer is yes, then we'll proceed with the exams. And that's why we are saying, at the moment, you can't say, this is exactly what will happen. Yeah. On this date, we are going to do this. On this date, there are very many other things that must be considered.
Many variables.
And I think the Ministry of Education so far has done its best. It has provided online learning. It is pushing material through radio, through TV, through the online platforms. And so far, it is doing a pretty good job. It's not that I'm just saying this because I just want to be an apologist, but I'm saying what is on the ground and what is a fact. The Ministry of Education has tried, and under the circumstances, there are very few things that they can be able to do to say with certainty. Yeah.
Peter Ndoro, the CEO of the Kenya Private Schools Association, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
And have a good day.